Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel. Enjoy the listening. They gave us scrap. Humans made it the most dangerous ship in the galaxy. Captain Tom Miller stood tall, adjusting his freshly pressed uniform as he and his crew waited in the massive docking bay of Starbase Alpha. This was a historic moment, the first time humans would receive an official ship from the Galactic Council since Earth joined the interstellar community just 3 years ago. "Do you think it will have quantum drives?" asked Jack, the young navigation officer who couldn't stop bouncing on his heels. "I heard it might be a Trellix-class cruiser," said Maria, the weapons specialist. "Those things can outrun light itself." Tom smiled at his crew's excitement. They had all been handpicked, the best Earth had to offer. After years of proving themselves in smaller roles aboard alien vessels, they would finally have their own command. "Whatever it is," Tom said, "we make humanity proud." The massive doors at the far end of the hangar slowly opened with a deep mechanical groan. A delegation of aliens entered, led by Ambassador Brix of the Laren species. Brix was tall and thin with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the hangar lights. Like all Larens, he had 3 pairs of eyes arranged vertically on his face, and all 6 were currently looking down at the humans with barely hidden smugness. "Captain Miller," Brix said, his translator making his words sound unnaturally flat, "the Galactic Council welcomes you. We are pleased to present Earth with its first official vessel." Tom noticed the pause but kept his face neutral. Behind the delegation, a large sheet covered something. Whatever was underneath seemed oddly shaped, not the sleek lines of a modern vessel. "On behalf of humanity, we're honored to accept," Tom replied formally. Brix made a gesture, and the sheet was pulled away. The humans' excited murmurs died instantly. Before them sat what could only be described as junk. The ship was an old transport vessel, hatched in dozens of places with mismatched metal. One of its 4 engine pods was visibly cracked. The name painted on its side, "Discarded Hope," was faded and peeling. "This is," Tom started, then caught himself. "This is our ship." "Indeed," said Brix, all 6 eyes blinking in sequence. "The Discarded Hope has served the Galactic Coalition for over 70 years. It was due to be decommissioned, but we thought it would make a perfect learning opportunity for your species." Jack's face had fallen. Maria's hand was on her sidearm, though Tom doubted she even realized it. A reflexive response to insult. "It's barely space-worthy," said Mike, the chief engineer, speaking what everyone was thinking. His practiced eye was already cataloging the countless fixes the ship would need. "The life support systems look ancient." "They are functional," Brix replied. "Mostly." Another alien from the delegation, a squat 4-armed being named Gorks, chuckled. "Perhaps humans aren't ready for interstellar travel after all, if this simple vessel is too challenging." "We accept with gratitude," Tom interrupted, his voice firm. The crew looked at him with surprise, but he gave them a subtle hand signal. "Trust me." Rick seemed disappointed by the lack of protest. "Very well. The ship is yours. The Council has provided basic supplies and a manual for the more unusual systems. You have 1 Earth month to make it operational and begin your assigned patrols." "1 month?" Mike whispered. "We'd need 3 just to." "1 month will be perfect," Tom said evenly. "We look forward to showing what humans can do with this fine vessel." The delegation departed, several of them failing to hide their amusement. As soon as the doors closed, the crew erupted. "Captain, this is an insult," Maria said. "They've given us garbage." "We should go to the human ambassador," suggested Wren, the communication specialist. "File a formal complaint." Tom walked up to the ship and placed his hand on the cold, pitted hull. "No," he said quietly. "That's exactly what they expect." "Sir?" Jack asked. Tom turned to face his crew. In his eyes burned a fierce determination that made even Maria step back. "They think we'll complain. They think we'll beg for something better or give up entirely. That's what they want, proof that humans don't belong out here." He began walking around the ship, examining it more closely. "Look at this hull. Cerulean metal. Older, yes, but nearly impossible to scan through with standard sensors. And these engine mounts," he pointed to what looked like damage. "They're modified Vulcan thrusters. Primitive by their standards, but incredibly reliable." Mike stepped forward, his engineer's curiosity overtaking his disappointment. "The power core looks intact, actually. Old design, but if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the marathon cores. Not fast to charge, but nearly unlimited endurance." Tom smiled. "Exactly. They didn't give us a fancy ship. They gave us a foundation. But sir, Maria protested, even if we get it running, we'll be laughed at everywhere we go. Good, Tom replied. Let them laugh. Let them underestimate us. Throughout human history, our greatest achievements have come when others thought we would fail. He gathered his crew in a circle, their faces still showing doubt, but now mixed with curiosity. They gave us scrap because they don't respect us, but they've forgotten something important about humans. We've always been at our best when working with scrap. We built our first planes from bicycle parts, our first satellites from leftover war technology. Tom's voice grew stronger, and one by one his crew stood straighter. We won't just make this ship functional. We'll make it ours. We'll make it human. And one day the Galactic Council will look at what we've done with their cast-offs and wonder what they've unleashed. Jack was the first to grin. So where do we start, Captain? Tom turned to the ship, his eyes gleaming with purpose. Mike, get a team and start assessing that power core. Maria, I want you to think about defensive options, creative ones. Ren, download everything you can about this model, official and unofficial. Jack, help me plot out the internal spaces. I want to see what we're working with. As the crew dispersed to their tasks, Tom stood a moment longer, looking at the battered vessel. The name Discarded Hope seemed to mock them. We should rename her, he murmured to himself, something fitting. He thought of the old naval traditions from Earth's history, of ships beating the odds, of underdogs rising to greatness. Phoenix, he decided, from Earth mythology, the bird that rises from ashes. He placed his hand again on the hull, feeling the cold metal, imagining what it could become. They gave us scrap, he whispered. We'll show them what humans can build from ashes. Behind him, his crew was already at work, the sound of tools and voices filling the hangar with purpose. The first step of their journey had begun, and despite everything, Tom felt a surge of excitement. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. 3 days after receiving the discarded hull, the hangar bay looked like a war zone. Ship parts were scattered everywhere, panels removed from walls, and the constant sound of welding and hammering filled the air. In the middle of it all stood Mike, covered in grease up to his elbows, staring at the ship's power core with a mixture of frustration and amazement. Captain, you need to see this, he called out as Tom walked by with a tablet full of reports. Tom ducked under a hanging cable and joined his chief engineer. What am I looking at, Mike? Mike pointed to the cylindrical power core that took up a large part of the engine room. This isn't junk. This is a Helium-5 core. They stopped making these 30 years ago, but not because they were bad. Then why? Because they're too good. Mike wiped his hands on a rag. These cores are nearly indestructible. They can run for decades without maintenance, but they have one problem. They're inefficient by modern standards. Tom raised an eyebrow. How inefficient? They use about 30% more fuel than newer models, so the big companies stopped making them to sell their fancy new cores that need replacing every 5 years. Mike grinned. But if someone were to fix the efficiency problem, Tom asked. Mike tapped the core with his knuckle. Already started. I'm reconfiguring the power distribution system. With some human ingenuity, I think we can make this old core run better than anything in the Council's fleet. Tom clapped him on the shoulder. That's what I like to hear. On the other side of the ship, Maria had turned the cargo bay into a makeshift workshop. She was examining what looked like a large cargo door. What's all this? Tom asked, stepping around various tools and parts. Maria looked up from her work. Their idea of a shield generator was pathetic, so I'm making a new one out of cargo doors. These aren't ordinary doors, Captain. They're made of tri-steel with reflective coating. The aliens used them for radiation protection during long hauls, but with some modifications. She flipped a switch, and the door panel began to hum with energy. They can deflect energy weapons too. Tom watched as she fired a small test laser at the panel. The beam bounced off harmlessly. It won't stop a direct hit from a military vessel, Maria admitted, but it'll give us some protection. And the best part, our shield signature will read as cargo bay doors on most scans. Tom smiled, hiding in plain sight. I like it. In what would become the bridge, Jack and Ren were installing old-style manual control systems alongside the ship's original computer interfaces. Why are you adding physical controls? Tom asked. Aren't neural interfaces faster? Jack looked up from under the console. Faster, yes, but also easier to hack or disrupt. These physical controls are from Earth's old space program. Simple, reliable, and completely unfamiliar to most alien tech experts. We're also installing a backup navigation system based on star tracking, like ancient sailors used. Ren added. If all our fancy tech fails, we can still find our way home. Day by day, the ship transformed. What had started as an insult was becoming something unique. Neither human nor alien, but a hybrid that combined the best of both worlds. On the 10th day, Ambassador Brix returned with several council observers. They walked through the ship with poorly concealed disdain. "You've made changes," Brix noted, watching a crew member install what looked like an Earth kitchen appliance into a control panel. "Improvements," Tom corrected. "We're adapting the ship to our needs." One of the observers, a tall insectoid being, chittered something that the translator rendered as, "Are those physical buttons? How primitive." Mike, who was passing by with a toolbox, smiled politely. "Sometimes primitive is reliable, and reliability matters when you're floating in space." Brick stopped at what had once been a storage closet. Now it contained plants, actual Earth plants, growing in containers. "What is this?" he asked, all six eyes blinking rapidly. "Supplemental life support," answered Dr. Lee, the ship's medical officer. "These plants clean our air and provide fresh food. They also help with crew morale." "Plants on a starship?" Another observer laughed. "Inefficient and unnecessary." Dr. Lee just smiled. "We find them quite necessary." As the tour continued, Brix became increasingly agitated. "Captain Miller, these modifications may violate council regulations. That power core configuration has not been approved. Those shield placements are not standard. This, whatever this is." He pointed to a device cobbled together from spare parts. "Water recycler," Tom explained. 98% efficiency. "The point is," Brix continued, "the council expected you to learn how to operate a standard vessel, not rebuild it according to human whims." Tom stopped walking and faced the ambassador directly. "With all respect, Ambassador, you gave us a decommissioned vessel that barely functioned. We're making it work. Isn't that the point?" "The point was to see if humans could adapt to galactic standards," Brix replied coldly. "And we are adapting them to work better." Tom gestured around. "Everything we've done improves this ship's functionality while maintaining compatibility with council systems." The delegation left shortly after, clearly unhappy with what they'd seen. As the hangar doors closed behind them, the crew gathered around Tom. "They're going to try to stop us, aren't they?" Maria asked. Tom nodded. "They'll probably add more inspections and requirements, but we'll keep working." "We've only got 20 more days until our deadline," Mike reminded him. "Then we work faster," Tom replied. "Double shifts. I want this ship ready to fly in 15 days, not 30. As the crew dispersed to their tasks with renewed purpose, Tom walked to the front of the ship. The old name had been removed, and a crew member was carefully painting the new one, HFY. "They think we're just making a mess," Tom said to no one in particular. "They don't understand that this is what humans do best. We take pieces that don't fit together and make something new." He touched the freshly painted name, careful not to smudge it. "We're not just rebuilding a ship," he whispered. "We're making history." Behind him, the sounds of construction continued late into the night. The Phoenix was taking shape, piece by mismatched piece, becoming something the Galactic Council never intended, a ship with a human heart. The Phoenix cut through space on its first official patrol 3 days ahead of the Council's deadline. From the outside, it still looked like a patched-together transport vessel, its hull a mismatched collection of metals and components, but inside it hummed with efficiency and purpose. Captain Tom sat in the command chair on the bridge, watching his crew work with pride. They had done the impossible, turned scrap into a functioning starship with capabilities no one would suspect. "Status report," he called out. "All systems running smoothly, Captain," reported Mike from the engineering station. "Power core operating at 110% of standard capacity. Shield doors ready on standby," Maria added from tactical. "Weapon systems. Well, what we're calling weapon systems are online." Tom smiled at that. They had no official weapons. The council hadn't authorized any. But Maria had repurposed mining equipment, waste disposal units, and even the ship's old cargo magnetizers into something that could, in a pinch, serve as defense. "We're approaching Sector 7, Jack announced from navigation. "Standard patrol route as assigned." Sector 7 was quiet space, a trading route far from any important council worlds. It was busy enough with merchant traffic, but considered safe and routine. Perfect for a test run of humanity's first official ship. "Captain," Wren called from communications. "I'm picking up a distress signal. Merchant vessel about half a light year from our position." Tom straightened in his chair. "Details?" "They're reporting an attack. Pirates, by the sound of it." Ren adjusted her equipment. Council protocol says we should report it and wait for an authorized military vessel. The bridge fell silent as all eyes turned to Tom. They knew what Council protocol said. They also knew what humanity would do. How long would it take an authorized military vessel to reach them? Tom asked. Jack checked his instruments. Nearest patrol is 3 hours away at maximum speed. And how long would it take us? 20 minutes, sir. Tom nodded, his decision made. Set course for that merchant vessel, maximum speed. Maria, prepare your non-weapons. Ren, inform the council of our response. Sir, Maria said carefully, if we engage pirates, we'll be violating at least 3 council regulations. Then we better not get caught, Tom replied with a grim smile. Or better yet, we better succeed. The Phoenix changed course, its engines pushing harder than any standard council vessel of its class should be able to. Mike had worked wonders with the old power core, channeling its energy through human-designed systems that squeezed every drop of power from it. Coming up on the coordinates, Jack announced 15 minutes later. Dropping out of FTL in 3, 2, 1. The view screen showed chaos. A bulky merchant ship was listing badly, its engines dark. Circling it were 3 sleek, predatory vessels, pirate ships known for hitting easy targets and disappearing before council forces could respond. They've already disabled the merchant's engines, Maria reported. Life support still functioning, but they're cutting into the cargo hold. Ren, open a channel, Tom ordered. When she nodded, he spoke clearly. Attention pirate vessels. This is Captain Tom Miller of the Earthship Phoenix. Cease your attack and withdraw immediately. A harsh laugh came over the comms. Earthship, the new pets of the council. The pirate's voice was translated through a basic system, the words choppy. Go away, little humans. This is not your business. I'm making it our business, Tom replied calmly. Last warning. The pirate didn't bother to respond. Instead, one of the ships broke off from the merchant vessel and turned toward the Phoenix, weapons charging. They're targeting us, Maria announced, tension in her voice. Energy weapons powering up. Shield doors, Tom ordered. Maria activated her makeshift defense system, the cargo bay doors, now charged with energy deflecting fields, deployed strategically around the ship's vulnerable areas. From the outside, it looked like the Phoenix was simply opening some compartments, nothing threatening. The pirate ship fired, confident in an easy kill. The energy beam struck one of the shield doors and scattered. Most of its force dissipated harmlessly into space. Minimal damage, Mike reported, surprise in his voice. Maria, your shield doors actually worked. Don't sound so shocked, she replied, grinning. The pirate fired again, a more powerful shot this time. The shield door absorbed most of the impact but began to overheat. We can't take too many of those, Maria warned. Tom nodded. Then let's not give them the chance. Mike, vent atmosphere from port side chambers. Control bursts. Sir? Mike questioned. Then understanding dawned. Oh, yes, sir. Mike activated the emergency venting system that humans had installed. Carefully calculated bursts of air shot from the Phoenix's side, the force pushing the ship into a spin that no proper council vessel would ever perform. The pirate's next shot missed entirely, its targeting computers unable to predict the unorthodox movement. Now, Maria, Tom ordered as they spun toward the pirate ship. Show them our mining equipment. Maria activated what had once been a standard mining laser used for breaking down asteroids. The humans had modified it, focusing its beam to a much narrower point. It wasn't designed as a weapon, officially, but when the beam struck the pirate ship's engine housing, it cut through the metal like it was paper. The pirate ship lurched, its engines failing. The other 2 pirates, seeing their companion disabled, broke off their attack on the merchant vessel and moved to engage the Phoenix. They're coordinating, Maria warned, coming at us from both sides. Perfect, Tom said, surprising his crew. Jack, full stop. Mike, prepare for full emergency vent, all chambers. Sir, that'll drain our atmosphere reserves, Mike cautioned. We'll refill them, on my mark, now. The Phoenix suddenly vented atmosphere from all sides at once, creating a pressurized bubble that rippled outward. The pirate ships, closing in fast, flew right into it. Their sleek designs, built for speed and predatory attacks, were thrown off course by the unexpected space disturbance. Maria, cargo magnetizers, full power. Maria activated the modified cargo systems. Originally designed to help load heavy metal containers, the humans had turned them into powerful magnetic projectors. The beams locked onto the metal hulls of the pirate ships, pulling them toward each other. Before they could compensate, the two vessels collided with a silent crash that sent debris floating across the view screen. All three pirate ships disabled, Maria reported, her voice filled with disbelief at their own success. Tom stood up from his chair. Ren, contact the merchant vessel. See if they need medical assistance. Then inform the council that we've responded to a distress call and require cleanup of three disabled pirate ships. As the crew carried out his orders, a sense of stunned silence filled the bridge, soon replaced by growing excitement. We did it, Jack said quietly. We actually did it. Tom nodded, allowing himself a small smile. Yes, we did, and with a ship made of scrap. 3 hours later, when the council military vessels finally arrived, they found the Phoenix helping repair the merchant ship's engines. The pirates were contained, their ships disabled but intact for evidence. The council commander, a stern reptilian being, was clearly confused by what he found. You engaged three pirate vessels with that, he asked Tom, pointing at the Phoenix with one clawed hand. We responded to a distress call, Tom answered simply. As any council vessel should. The commander studied the mismatched ship and its human crew with new eyes. The council will want a full report on how this happened. Of course, Tom said, though I should warn you, some of our methods might be considered unconventional. As the military vessels took charge of the pirates and the Phoenix prepared to continue its patrol, Tom gathered his crew on the bridge. Today we showed the galaxy something important, he told them quietly. Not that humans can fight. Any species can fight. We showed them that we can think differently, see solutions where others see only junk. He looked around at their proud faces. They gave us scrap. We made it fly. They'll remember that. What none of them knew was how quickly word would spread through the merchant lanes and trading posts. Stories of the odd human ship that fought like no other vessel in the galaxy. The story of the Phoenix had just begun. 2 months after the pirate incident, the Phoenix had developed quite a reputation. What started as whispers among merchant crews had grown into stories told in spaceports across 3 sectors. Some tales were exaggerated. No, the ship couldn't turn invisible, and it definitely couldn't split into 2 separate vessels. But the core truth remained. The human scrap ship was surprisingly effective. The council, of course, was less impressed. Captain Tom had been called to explain his reckless actions 3 separate times. Each time he patiently pointed out that he had simply responded to a distress call as any responsible council vessel should. They can't decide if they should punish us or study us, Tom told his crew one evening, as they gathered in what they now called the garden, the expanded plant room that had become their unofficial meeting space. Mike laughed. They sent 2 engineers last week to inspect our power core modifications. They spent 3 hours taking notes. And that military attaché who wanted to see our weapon systems, Maria added. His face when I showed him our modified mining equipment was priceless. The crew's laughter was interrupted by Ren's voice over the ship's comm. Captain to the bridge. Priority message coming in from Council Command. Tom exchanged glances with his officers. Duty calls. When they reached the bridge, Ren was at her station, her expression serious. It's a general broadcast to all vessels, sir, but it's coded urgent. On screen, Tom ordered. The view screen flickered to life, showing a stern-faced council admiral, a ferine species with ridged skin and sharp features. Attention all council vessels. This is Admiral Cord with an emergency directive. The Drar Collective has launched a surprise attack on the Centauri trade route. All available ships are ordered to report to Sector 12 to form a defense line. The crew exchanged looks of concern.